Hey, it's Synth Designer here again with another video on sound design basics. Today I wanted to talk about the square wave and the triangle. Now these two waves are a little bit different from the saw and the sine wave, but they're part of the major four types of wavetables that you'll see commonly throughout all of music. Now, the way that these differ is you could think of the saw wave as one end of the spectrum and the sine as another end of the spectrum. Whereas the sine wave, we had the very fundamental sounds and the very powerful sounds. The saw wave, we have that very buzzy sound, the very rich harmonics, upper end harmonics that we find. Now, those two really are the polar opposites. And then what we have kind of what sit in the middle is the triangle and the square. I don't know exactly technically where they would sit relative to each other, but you'll be able to hear how they differ very quickly. So I have the very basic shape set up here. So let's start again as a refresher. If you haven't seen my previous videos, please go back and look at them. They're really meant for beginners and to kind of give you an idea of how sound design works and how you can use basic shapes to create great sounds. So anyway, let's start with the sine wave again and get a refresher on how it sounds. Right? A very basic fundamental sound, no upper harmonics. The saw wave. Very buzzy. It kind of needs to be tamed in a lot of ways. It's very rare that you hear the saw wave without any sort of filters. So next, here's the triangle. So there's a little bit of that character there that you would hear in both the sine and the saw wave. It's kind of rounded. It has a more mellow tone. It's not lacking those upper harmonics. And here's the square. So a little bit harsher than the triangle, but not as harsh as the saw wave. So you can see what I said, that these two, the triangle and the square, kind of sit in between those two sounds. So how do you use them? Well, let's start with the triangle. I pulled up here a sound I created actually. It's on my Synthwave Essentials Volume 2. You could pick this up for free and just check the description. So if you don't even want to bother making sounds, you could just pick some up on your own for free. But I wanted to show you how this sounds and how the triangle plays a role in creating this type of sound. So I called this preset Holy Keys. So it's really great for designing keys and like different types of piano types of sounds because it has kind of a mellow tone to it. So this is not quite a sine wave. It's very close, but let's just take it off and hear how it sounds without it. So as far as the upper end of the sound goes, the triangle is really giving all of that information here. Just that beautiful, rich tone without the buzziness that you would hear from a saw wave, right? So it's just on basic shapes here. I'm not using anything special. Now what if we turned it to, what if we turn the wavetable to the saw? So completely different. Great sound as well in a lot of ways, but that's not what I'm going for here. I'm going for a key sound, not a kind of a synth sound. So you can hear how that really impacts the sound. Of course, here's the sine wave, or a variation of it, giving it that extra depth. So that's just one way that a triangle could be used in a very powerful way to create a great sound. Now, if you look at the effects here, yes, there are plenty of effects here. The compressor, the delay, chorus, flanger, but the bulk of the sound is the triangle and the sine wave creating that sound. Let's just turn off the effects and let's hear. Let's just hear how it would all sound without it. So it's dry, but the fundamental of it is there. I would say a lot of the lows need to be taken out, just like this. And with reverb, you're getting a lot of that. Compressor really is doing a lot of work as well here, giving us kind of that 80s vibe to it almost now. And of course, chorus. So there's one basic way of how you can use a triangle wave to create cool sounds. So here's another preset that I created that kind of works as a keys or a lead sound. I mean, this could not be any more basic, I would say. Again, it's part of my Synthwave Essentials pack. It's just a basic square wave with some delay and reverb. So that's a great sound there as well. There's that upper range harmonics, but they're filtered out a little bit so it's not as harsh. So let's hear if we open up the filter a little bit. It's a little bit too harsh for me. And I mean, you'll find a lot of times when you have an entire mix going, you might find that this cutoff position is not enough and you might need a little bit that harshness. But I just kind of like that little pop to it. So that's what the square wave does with a little bit of filtering. It gives us a nice lead that's bright enough that can cut through a mix, but also a little bit more mellow and very rounded is what I would characterize squares as. So it doesn't have that harshness again. So it's tamed a little bit here by the filter, but you can hear how harsh it is when we turn on the saw wave. And a little bit too mellow, I would say, here with the triangle. Just that nice little pop to it. So there you go. There's just another way. Right there is a great lead sound or a key sound that could be used as an accent in your song or even as a lead. So there you have it. And I hope that having this understanding of these four fundamental sounds, the sine, the saw, the square, and the triangle, really gives you an appreciation of how easy it is to create some great sounds that can take your music a long way. You'd be surprised how far you can go with these sounds in so many different genres. Of course, you'll start to expand your horizons very quickly, and once you start getting into the swing of things, you'll start experimenting, and that's great. But don't forget that these are the very foundations of a lot of types of music, even today. So I hope they're really giving you kind of a inspiration for your music. So I will see you next time.